Hello dear students, welcome back to the English class Maharashtra State Board 8th standard lesson number 1.2, that is Dick Whittington and his cat. In this video class we will focus over the story, that is of Dick Whittington. This is a story which follows the richest story which is based on an English folktale. The story tells us about the rise of Dick Whittington from a poverty-stricken childhood to the post of Mayor of London. The story is so inspiring story and it has a strong message to convey. So dear students, let us jump to see what the story is about. In this story, we shall learn about a boy who was an orphan and his fortune, how he became the Lord Mayor of London. So what type of problem the small and poor Dick had been faced and the way he became the Lord Mayor of London, the story we will continue in this lesson. There was once a poor boy called Dick. He was so poor. And the boy Dick Whittington, he used to live in a small village. Okay, that was very small village. This village, it was located in the south of England. So where was the village? In the south of England. In the south of England. Okay. And then he had no proper home. He had no proper home. Through this we can understand he was alone. Okay, that means for both his parents, like father and mother, had died. Okay, and that's why he was alone. Got it? And he was unkindly treated by many of the villages. So lots of villages were treating the Dick unkindly. As these people were treating the Dick unkindly, he became sad. And one day, what happened? Dick overheard that someone said that the streets of London were paved with gold, and he decided that he would go there at once, and what he would do? He would pick up his fortune up in gold pieces from the street. Dick thought of it. Dick planned of it, and for he thought people might treat him more kindly if he were rich. Now this thought came into the mind of Dick. So he could go there, where in London, and he could use, or he could give a chance to his fortune. And what he would do? Yes, he thought that people then might treat him more lovingly, more kindly. Why? Then he would be a rich person of the time. So what happened? So the young Dick, the Dick Whittington started, or he set out to walk to the London. Now he is going. Where is going? Yeah, he set for where? Yes, in London. Okay. Why did he go to London? Because he to make sure that he would be a rich person if he would pick up the gold pieces. Okay, he had not gone far when a man, another man, okay, the another person with the D, you could see now, a man in a cart, a kind of cart, stopped and asked him if he was running from the home or running away from home. Then Dick answered, to whom? Of course, to that unknown person. Dick answered that I have no home. What did he answer to the unknown person or the passerby? Yes, he said that I have no home. Dick answered or Dick uttered. Then I am on my way to London to find my fortune, said Dick. Dick said that I am on my way to London to find my fortune. I am going to approach my fortune. I am going to London to seek my fortune. Then, okay, I am going to London myself, said the carter. Then the carter said to Dick, I am too going London, said the carter. Jump up in here beside me and we will journey together, advises the carter to the Dick Whittington. They arrived in London just before the nightfall. Just before nightfall, they arrived in London and the carter left the Dick and made his way to an inn. And he made his way to an inn. Okay, then we could say that the poor Dick, okay, as he was all alone, no one was there to look after him, no one was there to take care of him, so he stood alone and he looked around him in a dismay. What is meant by dismay? Okay, dismay means in a great disappointment. Okay, with a great disappointment, he was looking around him whether he could find something pleasant or something which made him more happy, like pieces of gold. Then suddenly the question arises in the mind of the Dick, that is, where was all that gold? Where was all that fine gold? All he could see were what? The dirty streets and lots of unfriendly people around him. And he had nowhere to sleep, and in the end he spent the night in the corner of the alley. Alley means what we can say? Alley means we could say that a narrow passage between or behind the buildings, that is called alley. Okay, so he spent his night where? At the corner of an alley, where he hoped, where he thought that he would not get any of the harm, or he would come to no harm. Then what happens in the next morning? Yeah, the next day arises. Okay, in the next morning, the Dick woke up so cold, miserable and very hungry. He was so hungry and miserable and he could not find a way. He wandered around and he started begging for food, because since night he couldn't eat anything, so he became so hungry. Okay, he started to beg for food, but he could not get anything. Why? Because again and again people shouted at him, "Go away, you lazy fellow." The people were very unfamiliar with him, unkindly with him, and they were unfriendly with him. Because the people again and again shouted at him that, "Go away, you lazy fellow, be off with you." And they started to aim some angry blows at his head. Then with this miserable condition, at last he collapsed in the street and lay there too weak to look further for food, but no one helped him. The people in the street, the people were so angry at him, were so unkindly towards the Dick. Then next, it was his fortune, it was his luck, that means by chance, Dick had fallen in front of a house belonging to a very rich person. Okay, very rich person we could say. Okay, very rich person. That means the house which it was belongs to, the person was named, that is Mr. Fitzwarren. He was a rich merchant, Mr. Fitzwarren. Okay, and Mr. Fitzwarren returned home from the inspecting his ships, and he stopped and said to Dick, "Why don't you work if you need food?" He asked who Mr. Fitzwarren inquired about the Dick, and he found that nobody else were there to look after the child, the Dick, and he asked him finally, "If you need food, if you want to survive, why don't you work hard?" "I would work," said the Dick, "but I know nobody." Who knows? Yeah, Dick knows. "Nobody who will give me anything to do," said the Dick to the Mr. Fitzwarren. Then Mr. Fitzwarren ordered to the cook, "Immediately take him into the kitchen and feed him first, and then find some work for him." It was order given by the Mr. Fitzwarren to the cook of the Mr. Fitzwarren. So Dick was given a home and a good living. He had a small corner of the attic. Attic means what you can say, ATTIC. Okay, attic means. Attic means we can say a very small room inside a pointed roof. Okay, that is called attic. So he was given a small corner to stay there, to sleep, and his job was to help the cook. What was his job? Yes, his job was to help the cook with all the pots and pans in the kitchen, to clean them, to wash them, to prepare the food, broom it, okay, everything. So he was helping to the cook in her task. So Dick's life should have been much better than before. But he still had two difficulties to face. Now what were these two difficulties? What happened to the Dick? That we will see in the next video class. Until then, have a nice day and thank you.